Oh my gosh. I was talking about this the other day, with a couple of the girls, just the amount, like the depth within the
Yeah.
division is ridiculous. Like every person in the division brings something to the table and everything is just a little bit different. So like that's the cool part about it is we're able to like play off of each other. And like everyone has just a little bit something different, like character wise or like even move set wise. And it's fun. Like it's been a blast there since the day I walked in and it's just you can't ask for a more supportive group of people. And yeah, I agree. I would love to see ODB and Eric. I mean, the Slammiversary is coming up,
Yeah.
and you just never know. So I don't
I
know. Stay tuned.
And I mean, admittedly, when they signed you, I was like, okay, that's one of their big free agent signings. They'll probably slow it down now, but they have not slowed it down at all. They brought in Deanna Purrazzo and Tasha Steeles and all these people. What has that locker
Okay.
room been like?
Sorry, what was the? I'm sorry, I was thinking about Nevaeh too. Sorry,
And
what was the?
Nevaeh, yeah, Nevaeh. They have kept signing people and signing people, and they've stacked this roster to what I think is the best women's roster. Even after losing Tessa Blanchard, I still look at it and I'm like, best women's roster there is right now. What has that locker room been like for you? How are you fitting in there?
It's been wonderful. Like, I can't say enough things about it, especially because I knew a majority of these women uh, prior to Impact.
Mm-hmm.
So I met most of them on the Indies. I was fortunate enough to have the opportunity to work with most of them, and I loved all of our matches. They've been amazing. Like, yeah, I can't complain. I can't say enough things about it. And every time we're there, it's just fun. Like, it's not a pain to be there. We get there and we're all working for each other and getting along and it's just the camaraderie and yeah, it's been wonderful. Like it's not just a job. Like it's
Yeah.
fun to be. We're not like, oh, is it time to go home yet? Like when are we up? Like blah blah blah. Like no, we're all and that's not just the division. Like that's the entire company. Like when we're there, we're having fun. Like we're just yeah, it's very like relaxed and chill.
So you first came into Impact, so to speak. I think it was last October. You were announced for a couple dates, and a lot of people were really surprised because you had been off the national scene for a few months. How did that come about? How did that approach happen? Because I mean, a lot of people were pleasantly surprised by that.
Yeah, yeah. I think I was too. It was I'm a very spur of the moment type of person. um like I commitment kind of scares me a little bit. So when I think of something long term, I'm a lot less likely to commit to something. But if it's something like if somebody just approaches me like, hey, you want to do this tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, like screw it, let's do it. So I actually had the show I think I had wrestled the weekend before or a couple weekends before, and that was my first show back. And I wrestled my boyfriend. So I think that obviously, like of
That picture was
course,
amazing. That picture was
right?
amazing that you posted on Instagram
Oh,
of you all afterwards. I think my wife saw that and she knew that you were like back in action and she's like, that's the sweetest thing I've ever seen. And I was like, well
oh,
then let's go wrestle then.
right. Let's
Like
do
that's
that.
the genesis of all romance.
Yeah, it was everything I needed, if that makes any sense, because
Sure.
that was this past year was one of the hardest, not no, it was hands down the hardest time in my life. And that match just it kind of brought me back and helped me realize like how fortunate I am. And not just from the match, but just the amount of support that I got. Like coming back and just seeing everyone at the show and talking with everyone because I missed a lot of people. Like I was away for like it was a few months and um it was hard. Like um it wasn't intentional at all. I hated every second of it. So I never wanted the fans to think like I let them down. And it was very scary to come back because I didn't know if they thought um like I felt I let them down. Like I felt a sense of like guilt. Like they had so much like support in me and like
Sure.
stock and just like built me up and like I was like their girl and like I wanted to be their girl and like I wanted to like fight for them and like um yeah, it was sad. But then once that match happened, it felt like it was right. So and then after that, the couple weeks later I wrestled at Zello, but it was
Yeah.
the like pre Bound for Glory, like the Bound for
Yes.
Glory weekend. So
The Glory by
Yeah,
Honor, or it
it's
wasn't Glory
impressive.
by Honor. It was one of those sub names though. I remember.
Right. So I guess I just impressed Fatimore and Don Callis because it was amazing. I got to be in the battle royal, and it was, yeah, even then, even that day, it was fun. Like everyone, and it was a different group. Like some of the people who were there aren't there anymore.
Hmm.
They've added some new additions, but even the new people, like we just discussed, are just, they're amazing. You know?
And it was a few months, and then they kind of announced that you had come into the fold and signed with the company. You mentioned if something's like a bit of a commitment, you're not that you might not be that into it. What changed your mind for Impact Wrestling?
Well, like I said before, I'm just in a completely different state mentally, physically, and
Sure.
emotionally. Because after the Bound for Glory pay-per-view, they did approach me with an initial contract. And I was just straight up with them, and I said, I'm not there yet. I'm not
Yeah.
ready. I was just being honest with myself. Um I needed to continue to work on myself, and yeah, I think it was the right choice, obviously, because then a couple months later, and they respected that. And I can't thank them enough for being 100% understanding, and because that's not easy to do, like turn
Hmm.
down a contract. Like this is my dream, like any wrestler, like that's their dream. They want the contract, and then I'm just letting it like slip through my fingers, and it was very hard. Like I sat on it for a while, and then a couple months later they reapproached me with another offer, and I like I grasped at it, like I couldn't
Yeah.
reach like quick enough, like I was like, oh, but I had to like still like be like, hey, can I ask a couple questions? But I knew I was signing, like I was ready. I was so ready, and I've never been like happier, like I've never been more at peace in my life, and it's been beautiful. So
And
no.
that roster, like I said, I mean, you've already worked Kiera Hogan, who I think is way better than anybody even gives her credit for now. Like her and Tasha together has been really amazing.
Oh,
And
just so entertaining.
yeah,
Oh,
very, very entertaining. And you're working like a plethora of different people, like Katie Forbes one week. Like that isn't a match that I expected to ever see in my life.
so much fun though. Like
Yeah.
just to
And
see like polar opposite characters.
oh, way, way opposite characters. So, I mean, it would sound like things are going swimmingly with Impact Wrestling right now.
Right. I
So,
100%.
so is that a long-term commitment? Like, is it per show or per taping? How does that work out?
Currently, I signed a long term contract, so um yeah, after that we'll see where it goes. But I've been saying since the day I started training, like, oh, I got about 2 years left in me. So like now it's 7 years later, and I'm like, okay.